When people talk about modern China, one nickname appears again and again: the infrastructure maniac. It sounds exaggerated. It even sounds a little strange in English. But behind this internet nickname is a real question. Why has China built so many roads, railways, bridges, airports, ports, tunnels, dams, power grids, and entire new transport networks in such a short time? Too many people outside China, the answer seems simple. China just spends a lot of money and builds giant projects to show national strength. But that explanation is too shallow. China's infrastructure boom is not just about concrete and steel. It is about geography, population, industrial capacity, public services, and one of the fastest national catch-up stories in modern history. So today, let's break the stereotype and ask a better question. Why did China have to become so good at building? First, we need to understand the phrase itself. In Chinese internet language, infrastructure maniac does not simply mean a country that builds blindly. It is a dramatic nickname for speed, scale, and engineering ambition. It is the kind of phrase people use when a bridge appears across the sea, a railway crosses a plateau, or a highway reaches a mountain village that was once cut off from the outside world. But if we translate the phrase directly into English, it can sound aggressive or even negative. A better way to understand it is this: China is seen as an infrastructure powerhouse. That means China is unusually capable at turning maps into roads, difficult terrain into railways, rivers into water networks, and isolated regions into connected economic zones. The important point is this: the nickname is not only about building big, it is about building at a speed and scale that changed daily life for hundreds of millions of people. Here's the part many foreign viewers miss. China did not start as a country with perfect infrastructure. In fact, only a few decades ago, many parts of China were still struggling with basic transport, power, water supply, and regional connection. In the 1980s and 1990s, China was industrializing quickly, but the physical network of the country was still incomplete. Roads were crowded or underdeveloped. Rail capacity could not fully match the demand of a huge population. Many inland regions were far away from ports and major markets. Some rural areas had poor access to modern transport. Water resources were also uneven. The south had more water, while parts of the north faced serious shortages. So when China began building at massive scale, it was not only trying to look modern, it was trying to remove bottlenecks. A bad road is not just an inconvenience. It increases the cost of food, factory goods, medical access, tourism, education, and emergency response. A missing railway is not just a missing railway. It can mean a city is cut off from opportunity. This is why China's infrastructure story is really a catch-up story. The country was not building because everything was already easy. It was building because too many things were still difficult. Now look at the scale. China has built the world's largest high-speed rail network, reaching roughly 48,000 kilometers by the end of 2024. To understand what that means, imagine high-speed trains not as a luxury service between two famous cities, but as a national transportation layer connecting major urban regions across a continent-sized country. China also has some of the world's most dramatic bridges. In mountainous provinces such as Guizhou, bridges do not simply cross rivers. They cross valleys so deep that the bridge itself looks like it is floating between cliffs. On the coast, China has built sea-crossing links that connect cities separated by large bodies of water. Inland, it has built expressways through mountains, tunnels under difficult terrain, and power transmission lines across deserts, plateaus, and remote regions. And then there are water projects, ports, airports, logistics hubs, data centers, 5G base stations, and power grids. This is why the outside world notices China's infrastructure. It is not one single project. It is the density of projects. Railways, bridges, tunnels, water systems, power systems, and digital infrastructure are being built as connected networks. For a foreign viewer, one bridge may look impressive. But the real story is not one bridge. The real story is a whole country being physically connected at a speed rarely seen before. To understand the pattern, look at three projects. The first is the Hong Kong-Shuhai-Macau Bridge. It is a 55-kilometer bridge and tunnel system across the Pearl River estuary, connecting Hong Kong, Zhuhai, and Macau. It includes bridges, an undersea tunnel, and artificial islands. The point was not only to build something spectacular, the point was to reduce travel time across one of China's most economically active regions and make the Greater Bay Area more connected. The second is the South to North Water Diversion Project. China's water distribution is deeply uneven. The south has abundant water, while parts of the north face water pressure. This project moves water from the Yangtze River basin toward northern regions, including cities where demand is extremely high. Whatever one thinks about mega water projects, the basic problem is real. China had to deal with a mismatch between population, industry, and water resources. The third is the Qinghai-Tibet Railway. This railway crosses some of the harshest railway conditions on Earth, high altitude, permafrost, low oxygen, and fragile ecosystems. More than 960 kilometers of the line are above 4,000 meters. Building there is not just a construction challenge. It is a climate, geology, health, and maintenance challenge. These three projects are very different. One crosses the sea, one moves water across regions, and one crosses the plateau. But they reveal the same logic. China builds infrastructure where geography creates a barrier. The first reason China builds so much is geography. China is not a simple flat country where every major city sits comfortably on open land. It has mountains, plateaus, deserts, basins, river systems, coastal megacities, and vast inland regions. The west is high and rugged. The east is dense and economically powerful. The north and south have different water conditions. The coastline is dynamic, but the inland provinces also need access to markets. This means connection is not optional. If a mountain region has no road, young people leave. Products cannot reach markets. Tourism cannot grow, and public services become expensive. If a fast-growing city has weak rail and road links, congestion becomes a tax on everyone's time. If water is unevenly distributed, economic development hits a natural ceiling. Infrastructure, in this context, is not just about looking modern. It is a tool for balancing an enormous country. That is why China often builds in places where the engineering difficulty looks irrational from the outside. A bridge in a mountain valley may seem extreme, but if it cuts hours from travel time, links isolated communities, and connects a poorer region to a wider economy, it becomes part of a larger national equation. The logic is simple. Difficult geography creates expensive isolation. Infrastructure reduces that isolation. The second reason is industrial capacity. Large infrastructure is not only designed in offices, it depends on steel, cement, machinery, engineers, logistics, labor organization, construction equipment, and the ability to repeat complicated work many times. China has an unusually complete industrial system for this. It can produce huge amounts of construction materials, heavy machinery, tunnel boring machines, cranes, rail equipment, power equipment, and digital infrastructure components domestically. That matters because infrastructure is a supply chain game. If a country has to import too much equipment, wait for too many specialized parts, or rely on a small number of contractors, projects become slower and more expensive. But when design, manufacturing, construction, and logistics can reinforce each other, the system becomes faster. This is one reason China can build not just one impressive project, but many similar projects across different provinces. The real advantage is repetition. After building one high-speed rail line, engineers, suppliers, and construction teams learn. After building dozens, the process becomes a national capability. Standards improve, costs become easier to control. Workers and companies move from one project to the next with experience. That is how infrastructure turns from a project into an industry. The third reason is long-term network planning. Infrastructure only becomes powerful when it works as a network. A railway station matters more when it connects to buses, subways, logistics parks, airports, and industrial zones. A port matters more when highways and railways can move goods inland. A power grid matters more when it can move electricity from resource-rich areas to demand-heavy cities. China's infrastructure approach often thinks in networks, transport networks, water networks, power grids, communication networks, logistics networks, and now computing infrastructure. This is why the country's building strategy can look overwhelming. It is not only building objects, it is building systems. For viewers outside China, this is the key difference. A bridge is not just a bridge. A high-speed rail line is not just a train. A dam is not just a dam. Each one is supposed to plug into a wider map of economic movement, public service, and regional development. Of course, this does not mean every project is perfect. Large infrastructure can create debt pressure, environmental concerns, maintenance costs, and debates over whether some projects are truly necessary. But the larger pattern is clear. China's infrastructure boom is driven by network logic, not only by spectacle. So let's correct 3 common misunderstandings. Misunderstanding number 1. China builds only to show off. In reality, many projects are tied to transport, water, electricity, logistics, and regional development. They are not only symbols, they are operating systems for the economy. Misunderstanding number 2. Bigger always means better. Not always. A huge project only matters if it solves a real problem. The most important question is not how big is it. The question is who does it connect, what cost does it reduce, and what long-term value does it create? Misunderstanding number 3. Infrastructure is only about steel and concrete. Modern infrastructure also includes digital networks, clean energy grids, ports, logistics systems, and data centers. The next stage is not just building more, it is making the whole system smarter, greener, and easier to maintain. So why is China called an infrastructure powerhouse? Not because it simply loves giant projects. Not because every project is perfect, but because modern China had to solve a huge connection problem, connecting people, regions, resources, industries, and opportunities across an enormous and complex country. To understand modern China, do not only look at skylines, Look at how the country connects itself. If you want more videos explaining China through geography, culture, technology, and everyday life, subscribe to the channel. And tell me in the comments, which Chinese mega project surprised you the most?